Rain poured relentlessly over the neon-drenched streets of downtown Seattle, where the shadows seemed to stretch even longer under the dim glow of the streetlights. In the heart of this labyrinth of concrete and chrome, three Shadowrunners known only by their code names ventured forth with a shared sense of purpose. Viper, the street samurai, was a towering figure with cybernetic limbs and a visage hidden behind a sleek helmet. His armored jacket glistened in the rain as he led the way, his eyes scanning the alleyways for any sign of danger. Raven, the decker, walked beside Viper, her data jack concealed beneath her hooded jacket. Her fingers danced gracefully across a pair of AR gloves, interacting with the digital landscape that surrounded them. Wraith, the rigger, stayed close to his drones, a small army of mechanical creatures hovering above him. Each one buzzed with a hint of menace, their concealed weapons at the ready. Their journey had led them to the rainy streets of downtown Seattle, a place where the lines between the powerful and the desperate blurred and where secrets festered like wounds never allowed to heal. They had been contacted by an anonymous source, a whistleblower who claimed to have evidence of a biotechnology corporation's vile experiments on metahumans. The rain hissed as it struck the hot pavement, the city's constant hum a backdrop to their whispered conversations. "Any word from our contact?" Viper's voice rumbled through his helmet's comm system. Raven tapped her AR gloves a few more times, her expression tense as she focused on her task. "Not yet. The contact said they'd meet us near the abandoned Ares facility up ahead." Wraith's drones buzzed overhead, scanning the surroundings for potential threats. "Keep your eyes peeled. We're dealing with something big here. Corp secrets like this don't get out easily." As they approached the designated rendezvous point, the desolation of the abandoned facility became apparent. Crumbling walls and shattered windows bore the scars of time, and the overgrown weeds told a story of neglect. Their contact emerged from the shadows, a figure cloaked in a tattered trench coat, their face obscured by a hood and a scarf. The voice that emerged from beneath the layers was weary but determined. "You're the runners?" the contact asked, their voice muffled. Viper nodded. "We are. You've got information for us?" The figure handed Raven a data chip, a small glimmer of hope in the darkness. "Everything you need to know is on there. But be warned, the deeper you go, the more dangerous it gets. These people play for keeps." Wraith's drones circled overhead, vigilant as ever. "We're used to danger. What's your stake in all this?" The contact hesitated for a moment before answering. "I used to work for the corporation, but I couldn't stand what they were doing. I want to see them exposed for what they truly are." With the data chip secured, the runners knew their mission had officially begun. They had a choice to make: expose the corporation's horrific experiments to the world, or exploit the knowledge they held for profit. As the rain continued to fall, the weight of their decision hung heavy in the air, casting a shadow over the streets of downtown Seattle. The rain continued to pour as the team retreated from the abandoned facility, their footsteps echoing in the empty streets. In their possession, the data chip held the damning evidence of the biotechnology corporation's sinister experiments on metahumans. But the truth they sought was still shrouded in layers of darkness. Inside their safe house, a converted warehouse on the outskirts of Seattle, the runners gathered around a holographic display table. Raven inserted the data chip into a sleek, black terminal, and the room filled with the soft hum of machinery. The holographic projection revealed a labyrinthine web of information, financial records, classified documents, and surveillance footage, all pointing to the corporation's involvement in illegal experiments. Viper clenched his fists, his cybernetic fingers whirring with tension. "This is bigger than any of us thought. They've been at this for years." Raven's fingers danced across the holographic interface, zooming in on a particular set of documents. "Look at this. They've been abducting metahumans, testing experimental bioware on them, and then disposing of the bodies. It's all here." Wraith's drones buzzed overhead, their sensors picking up any potential threats. "We've got enough evidence to expose them, but that won't be easy. These corporations have deep pockets and powerful connections." Their decision loomed over them like a storm cloud. Should they expose the corporation, risking retaliation from a formidable adversary? Or should they exploit the information for their gain, leveraging it as leverage against the corporation's rivals? Raven leaned back in her chair, her thoughts drifting as the rain continued its rhythmic dance on the warehouse roof. We need more information. We need to find someone on the inside who can help us navigate their security systems. Viper nodded in agreement. And we need to figure out who else might be interested in this data. If we expose it, we're painting a target on our backs. Wraith brought up a map of Seattle on the holographic display. There's one person who might have the access we need. An old contact of mine, a security consultant. She might be willing to help if the price is right. As the team discussed their next moves, they couldn't escape the gravity of their decision. The path they chose would determine the fate of not only the corporation but also their own destinies in the unforgiving shadows of Seattle. With their mission only just beginning, they knew they were in for a perilous journey where trust was a scarce commodity and danger lurked behind every piece of stolen data. The rain outside showed no signs of letting up, and the shadows seemed to deepen, concealing both threats and opportunities in the metropolis they called home. Days turned into weeks as the team delved deeper into the Biotechnology Corporation's dark secrets. The rain-soaked streets of Seattle had become their hunting ground as they gathered intel, made deals, and stayed one step ahead of corporate spies and rival runners. Their contact, the enigmatic security consultant known as Silver, proved invaluable. With her assistance, they infiltrated the corporation's heavily fortified research facility on the outskirts of the city. The place reeked of desperation and despair as they witnessed firsthand the suffering inflicted upon methuman test subjects. Viper's cybernetic enhancements glinted in the dim light as he disabled security systems while Wraith's drones patrolled the skies, alert for any unwanted visitors. Raven's deck was their gateway to classified files, and she navigated the digital defenses with finesse. As they gathered more evidence, the magnitude of the corporation's crimes became undeniable. They had to make a choice: expose the corporation's malevolence to the world or auction the information to the highest bidder among the corporate rivals. In a dimly lit safe house, they faced the final decision. The holographic display table flickered with damning data as the rain drummed on the windows. Raven's voice was steady but resolute. "We have enough to expose them. The world needs to know what they've done." Viper leaned forward, his bionic eye gleaming with intensity. "But if we do this, there's no going back. They won't stop until we're dead." Wraith nodded in agreement. "And we can't trust anyone but ourselves in this city. The shadows have long memories." The tension in the room was palpable. They were on the precipice of making history or sealing their own fates. The choice was theirs alone. With a determined nod, Raven initiated the process to release the information to the media, to the world. The rain outside seemed to intensify, as if nature itself acknowledged the gravity of their decision. The consequences were swift and brutal. The corporation retaliated with a ferocity that shook the city's foundations. They deployed their elite security forces, assassins, and even shadowy technomancers to silence the runners. The team fought back with everything they had, unleashing a storm of gunfire, hacking, and drone warfare. The safe house became a battleground, a symphony of chaos and desperation. In the end, they prevailed, but not without scars, both physical and emotional. The corporation was exposed, its leaders arrested, and the methuman victims finally given a semblance of justice. As the rain continued to fall over the shattered streets of Seattle, the team knew they had made their mark in the unforgiving world of shadowrunning. Their choices had consequences, and they had faced them head-on, unafraid of the darkness that lurked in the shadows. With the biotechnology conspiracy exposed, they had carved a path through the chaos, leaving their own mark on the city they called home. And as the neon lights of Seattle flickered in the distance, they knew that the shadows would always hold new challenges, secrets, and opportunities. The aftermath of their confrontation with the Biotechnology Corporation left the team battered but resolute. The rain-soaked streets of Seattle had witnessed their trials and triumphs, and now it was time to face the consequences of their actions. The media coverage of the corporation's malevolent experiments had sent shockwaves throughout the city. Public outrage and calls for corporate accountability echoed through the airwaves. The runners had exposed a cancerous underbelly of the corporate world, and there was no turning back. But with their newfound notoriety came increased danger. Corporate hit squads and vengeful executives sought revenge for tarnished reputations and lost profits. The shadows had grown more treacherous, and the team's safe houses had to be abandoned one after another. Viper's cyber enhancements had taken a beating during the firefight, and he spent weeks in and out of the black market clinics, ensuring he remained combat-ready. Wraith's drones had been destroyed in the last battle, and she invested in a new arsenal of technologically advanced surveillance equipment. Raven, the Decker, had to rebuild her digital web from scratch. The corporation had initiated a relentless matrix hunt for her, and she'd barely escaped with her digital life intact. Now she was even more determined to hone her skills, becoming a digital ghost in the tangled web of the Matrix. As they lay low in a new safe house on the fringes of the Redmond Barrens, the team pondered their future. The shadows beckoned, as did the promise of new runs and fresh challenges. Viper broke the silence, his voice gruff but determined. "We did what was right, but there's no going back. We'll be hunted until the day we retire or the day we die." Wraith, her face partially concealed by her signature mask, nodded. "The shadows have long memories, but so do we. We adapt, we evolve, and we stay one step ahead." Raven's fingers danced across her deck as she spoke. "We'll continue to expose the truth, but this time we'll be prepared for what comes next. The shadows won't claim us so easily." And so, with the rain still falling, the team made a silent pact to face the ever-darkening world of Shadowrunning together. They had glimpsed the abyss, and they had stared back, unflinching. The neon-lit sprawl of Seattle awaited, with its mysteries, its conspiracies, and its endless opportunities. In the end, they were runners, bound by the shadows, and they wouldn't have it any other way. Subscribe for more Shadowrun stories, history, and lore.